Hello, everybody. This is StockerFinance, and I'm your host, David Scheuer. And today I'm going to talk about how to solve Tesla's biggest problem. Remember to subscribe. All right, so before we jump into how to solve the problem, I'm going to show a clip from Tesla's 2019 shareholders meeting here. If you've already seen this clip, go ahead and skip over it. But if you haven't, go ahead and watch the whole thing. It's a little long, but it's worth it. It's a man asking a question during the open question segment of the meeting to Elon about a disinformation campaign on Tesla. He basically asks, what's your plan to do it? What are you trying to do to stop this disinformation campaign? And Elon gives his answer. So go ahead and watch it, and then I'm going to provide my response and hopefully a solution.
Hi, my name's Dennis McAvoy, and I've been a happy Model 3 and Model S owner since 2012. I believe I'm representative of the vast majority of Tesla owners who are super happy with the company and the product, and we think that the next car we're going to get is going to be another Tesla. But that's not what we read in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
You know, if that was your only source of information on Tesla, you'd think it was shoddy quality, cars that spontaneously combust,
Yeah.
and that
it is nutty.
and that the company is on the verge of bankruptcy.
Right.
And we know that's not true, but
This is not true.
it's not true. But
Yes.
I think it's hurting Tesla because I have intelligent friends that are holding off purchasing Tesla cars because of their concern about the future of the company. Yeah. So the company's done a fantastic job at solving the big issues that confronted them in manufacturing and engineering. And my question is, what's the plan to put more energy behind the marketing communications and take this issue head on so that the true great American success story gets told?
Yeah. No, it's true what you say. It's very distressing. Makes me sad. But I'm not sure what. Yeah. I don't know what to do about it. We do provide a rebuttal, but that is then typically buried at like 7 paragraphs down, and if it's there at all. But some of these things are just incredibly crazy. It's at least 10 times more likely for a gasoline car or a combustion engine car. It's in the name. I mean, come on. It has highly flammable fluid. It's designed to burn. There's about 200,000 gasoline car fires per year in the U.S. alone. It's extremely rare for a Tesla car to catch fire, and if it does, it's just incredibly rare, and it's usually some extenuating circumstances. It's very slow, and it's almost never harmful. I mean, would you rather have like a gasoline-powered cell phone or a battery-powered cell phone? I mean, it was like no-brainer,
I think that
So.
if you were to put the same kind of energy towards solving this problem that you put towards solving the battery module production problem, you could do it. You could change the narrative.
Wow, we're really trying our best. But I am at somewhat of a loss to it's not like we don't respond or anything. Make a documentary. Yeah, it's the most crazy disinformation campaign I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I'll just say I appreciate your optimism and your passion for the company, and I think that is probably the best asset that all of you bring to the table. And if you can share that with everybody you know and give them the personal experience that you've had in whatever way that you can, that's really our best defense. So please continue to do so, as it seems like you are.
Yeah, I think like safety especially. I mean, it is paramount for us. Is like the absolute primary thing is to maximize the safety of the car. So it's like and this bears out in the statistics. So it's really hard to have a serious injury in a Tesla. Like it's quite rare. When you do look at objective numbers like the NHTSA probability of injury, which is on the internet, the Teslas have the lowest probability of injury of any car I've tested. Like if it was possible to have a 6-star, we would have a 6-star. It's absurdly safe. There's just a lot of forces that are kind of arrayed against Tesla. There's a lot of forces. So. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll give you the information, and then you can sort of spread it around. The reason that sales are good is really because of you guys, and it's sort of customer testimonies and referral is the key to our sales. That's why it's good. So.
All right, so before we get into it, I just want to say that, as you noticed in there, it was very difficult for Elon to answer that question. He basically kind of slurred his words a little bit. He stumbled on his answer. At first, he kind of giggled when the man answered the question. Then, as the man began talking more, he got way more serious and said, yeah, this is a serious problem, and he knows that. And I think one problem that he had was he didn't really have an answer to it. He didn't have a solution as to how to stop it. He basically said, our best solution is we provide information to debunk the myths. And so I'm going to go ahead and try to debunk some of the myths right here and try to get this out there a little more. So these are just some of the obvious ones really quickly that I'm just going to run through. And they're basically just some examples that I've seen in the news as part of this disinformation campaign on Tesla. So first off, one that I see a lot is that Tesla has no demand, that the demand is falling, that they're not going to be able to sell any cars, and it's basically all over. They're crumbling. So first off, as you saw in the presentation, if you watched the entire shareholder meeting, or if you've just seen it in the news now, since this video is a little older, or at least my slides are a little older, the Model 3 is the #1 selling car in the United States. And that's not just out of EVs. They're the #1 selling car in total. They've outsold every single car, the Toyota Camry, really high-selling cars here. And that's an incredible feat. So there clearly is a major demand, and I believe that there is such a demand for Tesla that that's the reason they're having trouble making time on deliveries, is because they're having trouble making enough cars fast enough. And we already know they're having trouble making enough batteries and producing these batteries quick enough to be able to build the cars. All right, so next one here is Teslas are dangerous. They blow up. Well, there's the highest safety rating you can get is for Teslas. They achieved this. I know the Model X, I think, is the safest one, and it's just incredible. I mean, they have autopilot, which is already very safe on its own, as well as the detection systems. If you go watch some videos of Teslas, like, stopping before a crash happens or something, it's honestly creepy how, like, perfect it is. They'll basically stop before a car even crashes into another car. Like, they predict the future almost. It's pretty crazy. Go watch or look up some of those videos on YouTube. So yeah, they've earned the highest safety rating you can get, and honestly, if there's a higher rating that you could achieve, they'd probably get it. One thing to point out here also is that Teslas are EVs. They're not combustion engines, and a lot of people, when they talk about EVs, they talk about, oh, the battery's blowing up. Well, a combustion engine is literally, it's in the name, combustion. It's made to blow up. And that's why they're so much more dangerous than an EV. A Tesla almost never blows up, never has a problem. There's been a few little fires, or there's a recent autopilot crash that happened. But out of all the Teslas that have sold and out of every single EV, it's so minuscule compared to the total number of cars that it really is completely, I mean, you can almost just wipe it out as just an outlier from the total amount. Elon is a scammer and a villain. So there's two sides to the Elon fan base here, or I guess just the Elon following. There's the people who despise Elon, think he's a scammer, a villain, just an evil, evil man. And then there's the guys who are hardcore Elon followers. He basically has a cult-like following, and they're going to follow him till they die because that's how much they love him. So there's really two sides of the spectrum, and everything else is just in between there. Now, Elon is a CEO of a public company, so calm down a little bit here. First off, he's not the only one running the company. There's a COO, there's a CIO, and there's also plenty of employees, making the cars. Elon's not doing every single thing. He's not doing the entire company himself. He has a board of directors that he has to pass things through in order to get them passed. He has to vote them through if he wants to change something about how the company works. So he's not alone in this. He's not the only one making the decision. So if you're worried about Tesla, or if you're worried about Elon being a bad person and that affecting Tesla, I really would just separate the two there. Because although he is the CEO, he has to go through a lot to make changes, and there's a lot of other stuff and other people involved around him. In my opinion, though, Elon's done a great job running Tesla as a CEO. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon, unless he flies to Mars or something. And honestly, the Model 3 is the #1 selling car in the United States, and that's under him being CEO, so obviously he's doing a pretty good job. Now, there's a bunch of other myths, but I'm not going to get into that. I just wanted to go ahead and run through these really quickly. All right, so now, how to stop the disinformation campaign. Well, I have 3 main ways to do this. First, I'm going to provide the whys, and then I'm going to provide the hows in the next slide. But one thing I want to point out is that Elon, during the conference, basically said, hey, the best way to basically stop this disinformation is through you guys and word of mouth. And I think that's very true. So that's why my first one here is by promoting Tesla and EV influencers. This includes people like Hyperchange TV, Teslanomics, or Tesla Time News is also a great YouTuber that is incredibly loyal to Tesla. They're all very informed YouTubers. They're very professional. A lot of their careers completely are around Tesla and Tesla news, and this comes at no cost. Elon has almost 20 million Twitter followers. He's a massive influence. If he took a little bit of time out of his day to promote these EV influencers, since most of them have quite a small following of just people who are already very loyal Tesla owners or people who are already Tesla shareholders following them. And they always are disproving disinformation. They're providing rebuttals. They're sharing the information that Tesla gives out. And they're just great ways and a completely free way for Tesla to be able to debunk some of this disinformation campaign. They just have to promote them a little more. I think it would go a long way. All right, so my next point here. Meeting with owners. So this is actually the guy who, if you watch the clip there, this is the guy who asked the question. He had the solution. He briefly said it. They didn't talk about it too much. But he said perhaps meeting with owners. They talked about Bloomberg a little bit, how even under Bloomberg, who is he's pro-EV, pro-Earth, and his company has been providing or creating disinformation articles towards Tesla, which doesn't make much sense since Bloomberg as a person is very pro and environmentally friendly. So if Elon Musk perhaps sat down with some of these TV hosts or some of the analysts, or even just Bloomberg himself and some of these powerful people, he could definitely have a great influence on them and maybe prove to them that Tesla is a good company. It might help persuade the public as well if it's televised or if it goes public. And this comes at no cost except for taking a little time out of his day to do this. And if they say, no, we don't want to do this, who cares? It's not a big deal. I'm sure Elon could do this. I'm sure he could get in contact. He already said he could get in contact with Bloomberg. So hopefully we see this happen. Let's see what happens in the future, though. Marketing. So I'm going to talk about this a little more in the next slide. This will help spread the message. However, and I'm going to go to the next slide here, which is how are we going to do this? So first off, we have some requirements, which, as I said, Tesla has a $0 marketing budget, which means none of these ideas can cost money, or at least have to cost a very small amount of money. It has to be very simple, and it has to be effective. We know Tesla and Elon as a company are very busy. They're doing a lot of different stuff and activities right now, and they're developing new projects all the time. So it has to be simple and easy to do. It can't take a lot of time or a lot of people. And it has to be very effective because we want this to work. We don't want this to just pop up, maybe, disprove a few articles or get a little bit of word out. We want this to actually convince people and change smart people who think Tesla's a bad company and have them come over to the other side of actually liking Tesla and realizing that they're an all-American company, that they are just a great company overall, and that they're not this bad, hideous corporation that's falling apart. So, anyways, how do we do this? Well, I already kind of explained how to do the first one here. We can simply promote these guys on Elon's social media. As I said, his social media following is massive. He just took a little bit of time out of his day to do this. It wouldn't really be that hard, and it'd go a long way for these Tesla and EV influencers on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. All right. Tesla also has a YouTube channel, and they have their website. I think if they even started a little blog that they could post, have these people post their videos to, or if they had maybe had an interview with Elon on their YouTube channel to further promote them, it would go a long way. And these guys are basically just providing a completely free way to get the word out and to provide information that will debunk some of the disinformation and hopefully slow down this attack on Tesla through the media. Meeting with owners. So I already talked about this a little bit, but how would we do this? Well, basically, we do this by just simply meeting with the owners. There's not much to say here. It comes at no cost. Excuse me. It comes at no cost. It's simple and it's effective. So hopefully Elon does this. I kind of already explained how he'll do this. So let's just go on to the next one because that's a little more important. There's a little more to it. And this is marketing. Now, what I mean by marketing, since all these are technically ways of marketing, but what I mean by this section specifically is commercials. You never see a Tesla commercial on TV or in a YouTube ad or pretty much anywhere because they don't do it. They don't have a marketing budget, and to market, it requires money. So how do you do this with no budget or at a very low cost? Well, first off, they did this in the past. They had a commercial competition where people were creating commercials for Tesla for free. Basically, there's a symbiotic relationship there because if they won the competition, Tesla gets to use their freely made great commercial that they can use to disprove the disinformation campaign and also promote their vehicles, and hopefully that'll lead to further sales. And the person who created it gets recognition, followers, etc., and it really benefits both sides there. So that's why it's not just providing value to Tesla, it's also providing value to the person who does this. Now, this will create a little buzz, and it'll come at no cost, but we're not trying to just create a little hype around Tesla. Tesla already has a cult following and a lot of hype around it. There's news articles every day written about Tesla. That's not really what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is provide rebuttals that are going to be widespread to stop this disinformation campaign on Tesla. So how do we do this? Well, one of the only ways, really, I think that we can do this is for Tesla to have a marketing budget. And I know I said in the requirements at no cost. So that's why I've thought of some ways to do this at a very low cost. And that's by completely ignoring TV commercials. TV commercials are so expensive. For one, just to create the commercial can cost $100,000 plus. Then to promote it, depending on where you promote it and what ad slot you take, it can cost up to millions of dollars just to have your commercial on there. Super Bowl commercials, for one, cost millions of dollars per minute or per second to have your commercial on there, on that slot. So by having a free commercial through this commercial competition, the cost of creating it is no longer there. You've wiped that out. So that's already lowering the cost. Then if we ignore TV, because we already know people are watching less and less TV every day, moving to places like YouTube and Facebook and other social media platforms to get their information and to get their media through this, the best way to do this is to advertise on these social medias, especially YouTube and Twitter, in my opinion, are the top two, as well as Facebook. But I think YouTube and Twitter would be better just because they're more news-oriented, especially Twitter, and there's a lot more disinformation on Twitter going around. And YouTube targets younger people, and I think this younger generation are probably going to be more intrigued in buying Teslas later on. And if they're not convinced that Teslas are good, if they're not convinced that Tesla's a good company, then I think they'll be more easily convinced than a lot of the stubborn older people who really just want to stick with their old combustion engine vehicles. So that's why I think you can cheaply promote it on Tesla, on YouTube, Facebook, etc. It's really easy to promote. I've run ads on these social medias before. It's super simple. It's honestly super low cost. And I think that they even just had a tiny little marketing budget, probably at the same cost that it takes to create some of those really high, really high quality videos that they post to their YouTube channel. They'd probably go a long ways, and it would probably at least slow down some of the disinformation campaign that is taking place. We don't need to wipe it out. We just really need to slow it down and slowly start convincing people that, hey, Tesla's a good company. We're an American company. We have great vehicles that are safe, They are reliable. They don't need maintenance for up to 1 million miles, according to Tesla. And they're just great cars overall, and it's a great company overall. And that's really what they need to get across. Not that they also need to get across that Tesla's doing very well. It's not crumbling to the earth. So if they can get these messages across in a very cheap way or a free way, then it'll be perfect. I think Tesla needs to research this more. I think Elon needs to take this a little more seriously. And Tesla will be able to do great things if they get this disinformation campaign out of the way, which I think they have the ability to do. So anyways, guys, if you have opinions on this, I know this may be somewhat of a controversial video on Tesla here. I know there's a lot of opinions surrounding this company and Elon himself especially. So if you have opinions or facts or anything, maybe ideas for how Tesla can stop this disinformation campaign, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. I'm actually genuinely interested. I'll probably respond to every comment down below. So go ahead and comment that down below or tweet at me at StockerFinance. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and check out these videos as well. Peace out.